So congratulations, you're purchasing a home and you've got a few worries and some questions about some of the things that the mortgage person is telling you. It's usually about insurance. So we're going to talk right about those. We're going to go over the 5 main pieces that I personally have seen the mortgage brokers be worried about and the insurance agents be worried about when you're purchasing a new home. The first piece is probably one of the biggest pieces is the loan value versus the replacement cost on your home. So if you haven't watched and learned what the replacement cost is, at the end of this video, I'll link a Home 101 where you can learn about those coverages and get more in depth on those pieces. However, the replacement cost is essentially the cost to rip down and rebuild your house. If there was a total disaster, that's what that is. The loan value is the amount including land, because insurance doesn't cover land. So when you're purchasing a house, whether you bought it in California versus buying it in Michigan, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars difference between the exact same houses. In this case, the replacement cost typically needs to be close to or almost as much as the loan amount. And the reason being is they're trying to protect the loan by the insurance. So if there's a major occurrence and the house goes goodbye, then you're not going to walk away and still owe them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your insurance is going to pay that bill. The second piece is the actual building material of the home. This determines the value and the replacement cost. Sometimes you get a home that has all of these extra features. It may have been an older home or a newer home, whatever the case is, but the value is lower than the replacement cost. So there's a flip here. It's the opposite. And what happens is the crown molding and the bay windows and the super thick wood mahogany doors and the travertine tile on the floor and all of those extra cool features that all of us want, me included, are going to cost more to insure. In our example, let's say the house is worth $500,000. Well, if you have a replacement cost of $700,000, your mortgage person might be a little bit freaked out if they're new to the game. If they know what they're doing, they may talk to the agent and find out exactly why that is and realize that the value of your house was upped because of the materials. A brick house is going to be way more expensive to replace than a wood framed house. Vinyl siding is a lot less expensive than brick. The quality is also a piece. So the type of countertops you have play a factor. It's not just the outside, it's the inside of the house too. So if travertine tiles, if you have granite countertops versus a quartz floor or whatever the case is, there's different building materials that you're going to have, and that's going to add to the replacement value of your home. The third piece that your mortgage person is going to freak out about or want to know about is how much does the insurance cost? Now there's 2 pieces to this. One's kind of a scam and one's not. I say it's a scam because I'm the guy losing out on the business, but it's sometimes a mortgage broker wants you to talk to their insurance person because they get kind of a go-to or referral, not necessarily money, but they get kind of like a clout and they constantly use one person and they refer back and forth. So in some cases, they may press you to join their insurance person. I've seen it over and over where current clients of mine have been with me for years and they're like, I don't want to go through this guy and we have to figure it out. So what they sometimes do is tell you kind of an off price just off the rough estimate, and you just never know the accuracy of it because they're kind of just throwing a number out there trying to just quickly get you to quote, or let's just get you a quote to find out what the value is. You've got time. It takes several weeks to close on a home, so you've got time to talk to your insurance person to find out what the next step is. Now I realize that I didn't exactly answer that question because we were talking about the cost. So the cost of the insurance is essentially what you're going to pay for the bottom line. If we have a $300,000 replacement cost, then the cost to insure that house, let's say in this example, is $1,250. That's kind of the average across the US for insurance on homes. If that's the case and they were expecting it to be $1,000, the problem that you're going to run into is your debt to income ratio. When you're getting the best deal and the best APR or percentage on your loan, you need to make sure that your debt to income ratio isn't too high. And when you have a higher cost of insurance, that can tick up that next step to where it sometimes knocks you out of that really good APR or interest rate on your home. Yes, you can get a better payment on your car. Yes, you can lower your bills, and yes, you can pay things off, and that'll help just as much. But it's so much easier for them to go to your insurance person and just say, bump the deductible up or do something. Just get this loan through at the lower rate so that we can get that correct. There are a few things to be careful with because obviously you're making changes to your policy, so that could affect you in a negative light if something happens immediately. Just be careful with that. It's happened in the past and it happens a lot, but it is something that can help you get the best deal, but make sure it's not at the cost of losing the value of your home in your insurance coverage. The fourth out of the top 5 insurance coverages that a new homeowner needs to know is the flood insurance. Not very common, so I would say for 10% of you out there watching this video, you may want to find out and make sure that you don't need flood insurance. That means you're in a flood zone. Essentially, what that means is there's possibility of water flooding the home. It's happened in the past, could have been 100 years ago, we don't know, but it's something that is documented, and because of that, they need you to purchase flood insurance. You can't even buy the house without it, so you likely will know, but you don't want to find out a week before you go to closing. The reason you don't is you're already stressed, and now they're going to tell you that you need flood insurance, which sometimes in most cases can double the cost of your insurance. Especially if you're in these Florida and Texas and all the states that in the last couple of years have had a lot of water damage, they want certain zones to have flood insurance now, which is quadrupling the rates in some of the areas. Don't fear if you have to have it and it's a make or break. You can essentially pick the amount of coverage you want with the flood insurance. It's not ideal to go that route, but it is something that a lot of people say, I don't really care if I have a flood, I'm just gonna walk away and I just want my contents covered, or I just want the house covered. I don't care about the stuff in the house. And those are some options that you have. So the cost can be adjusted based on how much you want coverage. It's really between you and your agent to determine what's the best fit. And the sixth piece that is going to be important to you specifically, not so much your loan person because they don't care a whole lot about the exact coverages that you get, is water backup. It's the most common issue with homes is water coming into the house, water in the pipes bursting, water somehow damaging the house. Now there's 2 types of water damage that we're talking about. There's one that's already covered under coverage A, which will give you another video that goes into depth on that. And then there's actual water backup. They also call that sump pump and overflow. If you're in one of the west side states, you likely have a basement, and in that basement is a giant hole. Water comes up and it filters out of the house. That's one piece. Walls have pipes in them. Sometimes they freeze, sometimes they burst, sometimes it's covered, sometimes it's not. It gets a little bit confusing with water damage. So how do you figure out what the correct amount of water backup and water damage that you need? We need to first figure out what exactly in your case, in your situation, is the risk of that water damage. You're going to want to check out the video where we talk more about the water backup and the different coverages that it offers. Go ahead and click the video here to learn about the actual water damage option. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.